good people are here. All right, I will call the meeting to order. It's 2 o'clock, actually 2:01 according to me, my computer on April 8th, the April meeting of the tree committee. And
Yep.
as I would like to do all the time is to have short meetings, and hopefully we'll be out of here in under an hour. That's always been my feeling. Shirley and I were at Kitty Doherty's meeting last night, and she does our meetings too, and that's my belief. We can do it. All right. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of March 11th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
I had a couple of questions. It refers to the presentation that you were going to do
Yeah.
to the town council. The date is a typo, I think. Should have
All right.
said March 18th,
And what did it say?
Change that now.
February.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it said the forum was to be on the 9th, but I guess that was accurate in the minutes, although the forum was on the 1st.
Yeah, it was changed. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so other than that, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the minutes with changes that Pat just brought up. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
I
Aye. Okay, no public comment. Well, actually, we do. Steve is actually considered public now, but we'll leave him to comment later. Okay, there are a number of things. A lot of the stuff on the agenda, again, we can go through fairly quickly. First of all, Paul could not be here. He just called me 15 minutes ago. He's out with somebody on the road. But he did give me an update. He wanted to give me an update on the Tree City signs. He said they are up. He has them up now, and I'm not sure exactly. He told me some streets, I'm not sure exactly, but I'm not going to go through them because I may probably mess it up. But you should be able to see the Tree City signs on the entrances to Bridgewater. If you think there's a place does not have a sign that should, let Paul know or let me know, because maybe we could transfer one from a street that is not that well traveled. I believe he said that he has one on Beach and Vernon. I'm not sure we need one down there, but anyway, drive around. If you see anything and you see any changes, let me know. Okay. Just quickly, Steve is here. You all know Steve Dempsey, and he has been approved by the citizens. What is it called? Citizens Board. What's it called, Josh?
advisory.
Citizens
Advisory Board. And it's going to the council the council meets tonight. It will not be at the council meeting tonight, but it will be at the next meeting. So our next Tree City meeting, Steve should be officially a voting member as our arborist, which we need. Okay. Any questions on anything so far? Okay, let's see, arborist, tree warden position, I'm trying to get this stuff out of the way. Tree warden position, not much change. I did email the interim town manager, Blythe Robinson. She said she had 2 or 3 more applications, which she is pleased with, because the first 2 I don't think she was that happy with. So we hope to have an on-call tree warden before she leaves. And she will probably be with us, Josh, you may correct me. I think either up until the beginning of June or the end of June, she'll probably be with us. So as I've said before, I think she's been great in terms of being open to listening to our desire, what we want, and maybe not getting everything we want, but at least trying to help us. So, okay. Tree mitigation. I think I told you I had a discussion with the planning board at their previous meeting, and there was pushback, in particular from the chair, Pat Driscoll, and they're meeting tomorrow. Well, their meeting that was canceled in the first meeting of the month was canceled, so they will not be on until the next.
The 16th, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know what to say. If Nicole, if you're around, then you could be on that meeting. It'd be great. I emailed them trying to get a discussion going before the meeting. What I don't want to see is the mitigation formula go back to stage one and start all over again. I think I think Nicole, you based that formula on what other towns have done. Pat was pushing back. I think basically he was saying it's too complicated. In any case, that's where we stand. We don't have the planning board's approval at this point. We could either, if they don't like it, we can either say we'll go back to stage one or simply try to put it through the way it is. So let's just keep that in mind as we go forward.
So Ray, which was the date of that last meeting? Because a review of that would be helpful so we know what to speak to at the next meeting. What was that date?
I think it was the second meeting in March that I'm referring to, which would
Maybe it might have been the 19th.
It's the second Wednesday of March, it would have been. And I think the pushback was, well, partly the town planner, Shane, but also mainly Pat. He was concerned about the complication, I think, of measuring trees and so forth.
Yeah, we should look at that meeting, Nicole, so we know how to address that.
I did point out that I did email them saying that,
Yeah.
you look at our shade tree ordinance, the old shade tree ordinance talks about measuring trees in it too, so it's not something revolutionary at all.
No, it's
All
the
right.
most it's the absolute standard measurement of a tree.
Yeah,
That is the way that you can, on an apples to apples basis, be able to measure, with the diameter breast height. So,
I know. And
there's really no alternate. There would be no alternate, method. I mean, to be honest, I think the biggest problem is that developers aren't required. I mean, I know it says it somewhere in the planning board rules, but no one is documenting trees as part of their survey. And therefore no one knows what's getting cut or clear cut because it's very loosely, it's part of what they're supposed to be doing anyway. Their survey is supposed to be showing large diameter trees and tree line and all of that. So, yeah.
His other concern was, he said, if you have a formula for clear cutting, what's to stop a developer from cutting all the trees down before he applies for a building permit?
Right.
And I'm not sure that's a valid complaint, because obviously usually the developer is going to be buying land, and the sale will only go through if the approval process for development goes through. I think that's a little bit overly worried.
Right.
But hopefully
well, that was this is sort of the first step in that the past conversations were that we as a town or board or whomever were not ready to regulate tree cutting on private property just as a blanket requirement. That would need to go into our tree ordinance. It would need to be amended. So this was a way that at the very least, we can, help support, right, the development process anyway, that in the past where mitigation funds were collected on just kind of a negotiating basis, this way it creates a standard formula.
Right.
I mean, we still certainly want to keep pushing that, the board can exercise their authority to really push back on how many trees are being cut or removed, and that's a totally separate conversation from the mitigation.
Well, the planning board could also simply disregard what we have. I mean, if they want, they have the ability to do that. Yeah.
They do.
Shirley, you got a question?
That argument about the developer coming in and cutting down the trees before they make the application has been made several times before. So I don't think that it's an issue that hasn't or doesn't need to be addressed. I believe that that's something that has been going on, and developers get around any regulations that towns might impose by doing that. So we might want to be aware of the fact that's a legitimate argument, and is there some way we can preclude having that happen?
Pat?
I did see a reference to that in some towns or ordinances where they addressed that particular problem. I don't recall which one it was because we looked at so many, but we could try to find that again and put it into the regulation. The other thing that wasn't brought up at any of those meetings, we weren't just addressing mitigation, they also have the choice to replace them, and that wasn't covered very well.
It wasn't covered very well in the mitigation, you're saying? Pat?
When we were talking to the board about it.
Yeah, well, the planning board has a lot of leeway in terms of what they want to do in terms of plantings and so forth.
They probably have
that-
to be reminded on occasion.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. Steve, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just, I can't recall exactly what the specifics are, but I know that there are state regulations about cutting street trees. I don't know exactly where you're talking about the trees being removed at this point, but there are state regulations that trees can't be removed. And I'm sure you guys are already familiar with that, but without the approval of the town tree warden.
Yeah,
But-
well, street trees, we have regulations. I think
Street
the
trees
issue-
are
The
different.
issue right now is private trees, whether how we can control clear cutting of private trees before an application. The other thing that Steve, you bring up about street trees, I think it's something maybe we can't discuss now, but I think the issue in the cutting of street trees is not the regulation. The issue is enforcement. And that's simply not happening right now. And how are we going to deal with that? I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
it hasn't really ever happened in Bridgewater
Yeah.
that I've seen.
Yeah. All right.
Can I ask one more thing? Nicole, would you be able to send us all an email with the mitigation formula, just so that we can have it fresh in our minds when we're dealing with this?
I can do it. I have it. I'll send it
Sure.
out.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think Steve has seen it too, so maybe you
Yeah, I'll
could
send it
see
out.
that. That would be good, because there is a little paragraph or two kind of describing what it is.
Yeah, I think I can pull it up and send it out.
Send it to all of us.
Okay, I
so we
think
know
that
where-
this issue about cutting trees on private land is something we should talk about again in the future. I'm not sure we can settle the issue right now, but it's something we should talk about. Okay. Tree plantings, we talked about doing 4 more tree plantings on Main Street. Any
Right.
date on that at all, Shirley? Is that
No, I've been talking with Paul about somewhere along the line, we had a tree inventory of all of the species of trees that we planted on Main Street, and other streets. And I can't locate that right now, so I want to get a hold of Merrill Lee and Carlton Hunt and see if it's in their package of BIA materials that got transferred when Merrill Lee became president of the BIA. I'll follow up with that, but I think it's important that we keep a tree inventory, an up-to-date tree inventory of all the trees now that we begin to replace or plant.
okay? So what you're saying is once you find out the species that you'll talk to Paul about putting 4 more in.
Yes,
Okay, we'll have to do that the next meeting. You'll have to we'll have to allocate the money to be spent for those trees. So maybe we
okay.
can do
So
that.
I'll come in with a proposal for
Okay.
the next meeting.
That's fine.
So could I ask a question?
Sure.
Are these trees that Shirley is overseeing BIA or Bridgewater Tree?
They were planted originally by the BIA,
Right,
and now what we seem to be wanting to do, because the tree committee didn't exist back then,
right.
we seem to be wanting to kind of take over that responsibility. However, I think it's important that if there was a schematic involved, as there was, that we honor that, because the purpose of that schematic was to try to have like trees in a patch where they would make a statement as you drove through town. And for the most part, that was trees that were colorful trees.
Okay. All right,
Does that answer your question, Pat?
you okay on that, Pat? She's doing something else.
I am just wanting to clarify that I probably missed that one meeting where you might have discussed that originally. So I wasn't sure if it was BIA or us. I also wonder, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a message. It's distracting my brain. I do recall that our town regulations say that we shouldn't be planting the same species now, in our regulations, so that they don't all, decline if they get a disease. They have to have a different variety. So,
What you would find out, Pat, is the trees that the BIA planted on Main Street were in clusters of like kind, but not the entire Main Street. So there may be a half dozen or more different species being planted, but at each of those clusters, they might be 10 or 6 or 10 trees of the like kind. So they make a statement, and you don't just get one here and then a mile down the road, you get another one of the same kind.
okay with me. It's
Steve,
okay
does that
with
make
me.
sense to you? Steve?
I'm just thinking about what I read, so
Yeah,
whatever you do is fine with me.
Steve,
Yes.
you there? Does that make sense to you in terms of what?
Yeah, I mean, because if you have a pathogen or an insect that comes in and attacks the species of tree, it's going to hit it anywhere. I mean, it's going to hit them all, whether or not we're real close together or not. I mean, there are going to be trees that are spread out, and they're going to, if the Dutch elm disease didn't stop because you would plant an elm and an oak and a maple and an elm and an oak and a maple, it was spread anyways. But I think, the Bridgewater Improvement Association, from being involved with that myself, I mean, they were always also thinking about the aesthetics. So that might be impacted by what the decision is that, we make and that they make to do the planting, but,
All right, well, Shirley, if you can come with a proposal for the next meeting in terms of 4 more plantings, we can talk about it in more detail then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Will do.
Okay, thanks. All right, Nicole, Tree City, good news.
Yes, good news. Our application was approved for 2024. So we received Tree City designation for another year. Knowing that we now have the signs, Ray, I'll reach out to confirm how many we have, because I can get the sticker for free. They give you a sticker for how many years. So I think we
Right.
would now be 11 years.
No, I think it's 12 now.
12. So
Right.
they'll send us the 12-year sticker. I'll just confirm how many I should request. So
Good.
that is good.
They were much quicker this year than last year in terms of the approval. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we had to wait till September last year to get approved. It was quite late.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
they know us now.
Yeah, that might have been it. It was our first time. So maybe
Yeah.
now that we were in the system, it was more, streamlined. The only other thing that I still haven't had a chance yet to do, but I really did want to start digging into the additional benefits that we have from this, which included grant opportunities.
Yep.
I think we're not ready probably to submit for any awards, but maybe someday we will when we, plant a mega number of trees. But in any event, maybe looking at those grants, especially, and, knowing that there's going to be, a new town manager, and maybe just some new focus on, looking for grant opportunities for various things. So hopefully I can look at that in the next month here and talk about it a little bit next time.
Funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking the same thing. We haven't, I know you mentioned before that grants are available, and then we should look into it. And my
Yeah,
general feeling is, you know, we have a new town manager coming on board. Um, we have no idea what this guy is like. I mean, he may be superb, and we don't know. My
yeah,
attitude is if we know that Blake Robinson seems to be open to listening to us. I think if we can get anything that we need now before she leaves, the better, in my opinion. Just it's nothing. It's not a negative point about this guy coming in. I just she's a known and the other guy's an unknown. That's all.
Right, yeah.
yeah, it might just
All
take a
right.
little time, yeah, get things on the ground and running so that, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
that in itself is going to be an issue, right? You got to give the guy 6 months to get his feet wet, and
Yeah.
everybody's going to be jumping on him for
Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful that, Grant, it could be fairly simple that, maybe for the most part, we can do most of the legwork and we'd really just be looking for approval or whatnot. So I'll have to see kind of what these are all about.
That said, I know you were unavailable last year, Nicole, but they will have a meeting in June, July,
Oh, yeah.
Tree City, and I did go last year, and it's worth, if you can make it, it would be great, because you may be, just talking to other people there may be helpful, plus the literature they hand out.
Yep.
All right, Arbor Day. Where are we in Arbor Day? That's the biggie.
That's the biggie. We were talking about doing the tree planting at the cottage playground on was it the 18th or the 25th?
The 25th is Arbor Day.
Okay, the 25th. I actually realized that this year is this is a little bit of a weird year. That is actually school vacation week. So the students will not, unlike other years, they would not be in the school.
I have it written on the 26th.
That's a Saturday. Yeah, so we could do
Saturday.
it that. Previously I felt like we did it on a Friday. I don't quite know all the reasons, but we have flexibility. We don't have to have it on the exact Arbor Day.
Right,
This year wouldn't matter because if we want those students to come, it would be on their own, their parents would have to bring them or whatever. So that would be a little different.
How is the contest? That's still going on? Your drawings, Nicole?
Oh, no, yes, so that's the other piece. We did select, last meeting, I think we selected the one that I sent along to the state.
Okay,
So I sent the one along to the state, and then I had made a few copies, especially of the one that we sent along to state. I dropped them off to Josh, because he was going to help put them on a board like we did last year to be able to have them at town hall. And then Josh, is that still on your radar screen? I know it's
Yeah,
still
so
here. Yeah.
the board that I had last year actually broke. So I'm in the process of getting something else set up for it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. We talked about that the timing would be that I think the town council isn't going to be reading the proclamation until the meeting on the 22nd. Do they meet Tuesday nights?
Yep.
Yeah, so the 22nd, so that's already on the agenda. And Fred Chase has agreed to support that. So, they will be reading the Arbor Day proclamation, which is important because it will, it's necessary for our 2025 application. And at that time, we'd be able to say, if we're doing a tree planting or whatnot in celebration of Arbor Day. So all that was underway. And the only other thing I did was that I did return the 3 posters to the school. I gave them like little ribbons again and I just made a little certificate and signed it on behalf of the tree committee. So they were all able to bring those home, but all 3 teachers were just so happy. So it was good. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
to start too. Yeah. So I just clarify now, are we going to do the Arbor Day planting on 25th, Friday, the 25th, with or without students, right?
I think that was our plan.
Okay,
Yeah,
Time, 10 o'clock?
sure. Yep.
Okay, we need a tree.
I think hopefully 2 trees.
Two tree, that's right, two
Mhm.
trees. Then, Shirley, I believe last year you did order the trees from, what's the nursery?
Weston Nursery.
Western Nursery. You want to do that again? Is that,
Sure. Did we want shade trees there, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Is there
Um,
anybody who wants to suggest what species shade tree?
Steve, any thought?
I'm not, I'm not 100% aware of exactly where it's
All
going.
right.
I'll
why
show
don't-
you again. I can do my, yeah, and let me pull that up and I can show you. And we can even look at the tree. We have last time when we looked on Google Street View, the tree that's currently has been fallen down, it was still up, so we can see what species that is. Yeah, just give me a minute.
Is it, are the trees going to be street trees? Or are they going to be in a playground area or?
Playground.
They're gonna be, you know,
Hey, Josh, can I share my screen for a minute, please?
Yep, it should let you know.
Okay, so this is Cottage Street. Here's the vets. And these are, this is that little side parking lot to the fields near the rec trailer.
Uh-huh.
So the little playground,
Oh, okay.
that's that little playground. So currently this picture must be out of date because in a storm over the past few years, this, I believe 2 trees have come down. This, I think it's these 2. And
Okay.
so they were previously just cut and there was a stump.
Ground.
Yes, but I think the stump has been removed, or DPW did say they were going to remove the stump prior to the planting, so we can literally plant in the very same place. And either decide to replace these species or select something else. But right now it's just barren, because these 2 trees no longer exist. And there's not a ton of play equipment, but lots of kids do go in here
Yeah.
during baseball games and football games.
Yeah.
Is the fence still up?
Yes.
No.
But we can go in, yeah, I don't know, they must just take a panel off if they ever need to get mowers
Yeah.
and stuff in there, but there's a few little gates on the back side. I don't think there's any gates on the front side.
Not sure why you need the fence, but,
Well, so that kids don't run out into the
Yeah,
street,
well,
into the traffic.
um,
I
That
had,
might-
I had kids that just bolted, so I appreciate the fence.
all right, so we're talking 2 trees, correct? We had decided?
Yes,
It makes sense, yeah. It makes sense to have a shade tree, in my opinion, because it gets warm there in the summertime, right? And it would be nice to have the shade, so.
Any
Mhm.
thoughts on the variety? Anybody?
yes, I'd like to suggest that we plant either one or both of those trees to be tulip trees, just because they are fast growing and we'll get a tree with shade a lot sooner than if we plant an oak or a maple species of some kind.
Yep.
If that's all right with everybody, I'll look for the tulip tree,
Okay,
trees, 2.
all
um,
right.
Plane trees are beautiful too, Shirley.
Yes, but are they a
Yeah.
little slower in growth? Steve?
Sorry?
Are they slower to mature? The plane
Uh,
tree?
They grow pretty quickly, actually, I think.
Yeah.
But the tulip tree is beautiful as well, so. I mean, they're big leaved too, and
Mhm.
Does the tulip,
they're, you know what I'm talking about, the sycamore, it has like a camouflage exfoliating bark. They're beautiful tree, really, but the tulip trees are equally beautiful and fast growing.
Mhm.
does the tulip have branches low on the lower portion, or does it start up higher?
They start up higher.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're putting two trees in, how far apart are they gonna be in that space?
Well, I think they could go exactly basically where they removed the stumps from the old or very close
Okay.
to it. So they're very far away from each other. They're
Okay,
separated
okay.
by this little slide thing.
All right, okay,
Hmm,
okay, then we don't have a price at this point, but we don't have another meeting before Arbor Day. So we have to allocate funds for Shirley to get the trees. So my suggestion is that what are we talking about? $100 and some each tree, possibly? Any idea?
I think it'd be more expensive than that, Ray.
Okay,
Mhm.
what if we give you, somebody make a motion to give you up to $500 to buy the two trees? Would that be sufficient, do you think?
Well, we could look at it, and if that doesn't work, I can send out an email.
No, we need to do it, we need to do it now. Why don't we say $700 for two trees? Would that be
Good.
okay?
Up
Oh,
to,
So we need a motion to give Shirley the ability to order two trees from Western Nursery, up to $350 per tree. Is that fair?
mhm, mhm.
Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? I just want to make sure we're okay on 350 for each tree. That should be sufficient, right?
I
Okay,
hope so.
Yeah.
okay, then I'll take a vote. All in favor of allocating $700 for the two tulip trees? Say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Fine, good. So let's summarize this. We're ordering two trees for Cottage Street. We'll plant them. I'll contact Paul. We'll have to plant the trees at 10 o'clock on Friday, the 25th.
Mhm.
And we'll invite the town council and so forth to come for the ceremony. And that's it. Is that okay, Nicole, for our ceremony?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I think I think I'm trying to go to the town council meeting when they read the proclamation to thank them and then also make that announcement
Yeah,
about
okay, I'll be
the
there too, but that's good,
planting.
yeah.
And I'll email those teachers then so they can send forward it to the parents if in case the three students want to come on their own time. On their vacation time or whatever. They might not be around, but
Okay, good.
Yep.
Anybody else on Arbor Day? All right, just quickly, the shade tree ordinance, it's in limbo right now. I have no idea. I emailed Blythe again about it. We submitted it a few months ago. This whole thing started with Michael asking us to do it. We did it, took us months, and now I'm not sure what's gonna happen to it. I'll try to get her to see if we can move it along before she leaves. We're still, we had talked to Shirley, I believe, about flyers. I don't think we're there yet, but you had mentioned that the idea that we do some mailing at some point about how to plant trees and so forth. We still have the Arbor Day flyers, which we can use if we come up with a process. I'm not sure we're ready there yet to do a mailing, but that's it. The forum was good in terms of presentation, I thought anyway. We didn't have many people. That's the unfortunate thing, and I think I take most of the blame for that. But I thought
No.
Ron did a good job. I think he knows his stuff. We did talk about giving him $100 stipend, and we need a vote on that. I thought I thought I'd maybe even increase it to $125 because I thought he put a lot of work into it. In any case, we need a motion to approve a stipend for him. Anybody?
I'll move to approve $100 forum stipend for Ron for the forum.
Okay, is there a second?
second,
I'll second it.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Okay, lastly, on that point, which I will remind him, he indicated at at the meeting, I believe, or to me, that a couple of the trees that we have on our approved list are fine, except their names are incorrect. And I will, have him email us as to what he considers to be the proper name for those two trees. Okay? All right. That said, I have nothing else. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Shirley, didn't you bring up or you, Pat, bring up the fact that our recommended tree list is not right?
They're not consistent.
It wasn't consistent with what?
Well, the list that has been submitted to the planning board and is in our zoning regulations is not the same list that we have that accompanies the mitigation policy. For example, the town tree list, and they're the ones that made this decision that willow tree is not accepted in town. However, it's on our mitigation list. There are a couple of small details like that I was concerned about.
No, that's an
Name of the
important
tree,
point.
Pat?
Pardon?
What was the name of the tree?
It was that willow axillus or something like that. I didn't write it down here. I have it in my pile of papers. But they don't want those trees planted in town. However, we've got them on the mitigation list that was submitted. And there were a couple others similar to that or that were added in addition to the list that you remember James Bohannon and I had worked on originally. So it just wasn't the same list.
Hmm. I'm not sure how we do this now. Which list is there, is the list we sent to the planning board, is that
Mhm.
the proper list in your opinion? Or not?
That's correct. Well, that's what I thought, or when we
So
prepared it.
so the mitigation list is the one that's incorrect?
Yes. Mhm.
Why can't we just reconcile it by changing the mitigation list to the?
We can, now that we're discussing it and now that we know. None of us noticed it before, I don't think. And that black willow or whatever type of willow shouldn't be on there because the town doesn't want them in town. I think they're messy.
All right, would simply, a motion to change the mitigation list of trees to the town list be proper then?
Just to clarify, the mitigation list was just in an effort to identify trees that would be considered significant that the planning board may want to count towards somebody's mitigation dollars. In other words, those are things being cut on private property that we perceive to be important to the health of the community. So I mean, I'm fine taking that one off.
Those aren't recommended.
Well, no, Nicole brings up a good point.
It's not-
It's not
yeah.
whether they're recommended or not, they're already there.
They're already there. We're saying don't
So
cut
you're
these.
just
These, if you have
recognizing them, yeah.
if you have a big one on your property, it's providing habitat. It was basically considered significant in I think some of the references that I found, such as like some tree species from our climate and from our, our zone and from this Plymouth County resource and things like that. We can take some off because those were just an example list. But again, we don't want those to just be, excessively cut when not necessary.
In your mitigation list, Nicole, do you use the term, for example, in terms of
Yes.
trees?
Yes, it
Well, that
says,
seems to be fine then. I mean,
yes, the mitigation list is not saying what people would plant. It's
Right.
saying what we don't want to be cut excessively for development when not necessary. And if it is, then the planning board could use, basically add that tree to the calculation of the funds to be collected in lieu,
Right.
for cutting it down. That's all that is. So it's very different. Those are two totally different things. If we want to, at one point, we even thought the mitigation list, just maybe we don't even say any examples or,
Well, as long as you say, for example, I think it fits then.
yeah,
I
True.
don't-
Yeah.
yep.
Well, then there's really no need to reconcile anything then. It seems fine then.
That's right.
All right, that's good. That's good. All right. What are we missing? Anything? Anything new?
Ray, can I
Alright.
just ask you one question before you
Yep.
close out?
Go ahead, Steve.
Do you think I could get my hands on the shade tree ordinance that the committee put together?
I'll send it out to you.
It's a
Yeah.
pending one, right?
Yeah, it's a pending one. The original shade tree ordinance is a good 25 years old or more. And what happened when this committee was formed, town manager Michael Dutton asked us to update it.
Okay,
It took, I don't know, literally months before we finally sent a copy in. He left at that time and it's in limbo right now. I don't know. I'll try Blythe again about
okay.
seeing what we're gonna do with it. I'll send it to you.
Just so I'll know what you're talking about,
Right, right.
Yeah.
By the way, the old shade tree ordinance is on the website. It's on it's there and under, I think it's under the town code, I believe.
Okay,
Shade tree ordinance.
Right. And it pretty much just references the state law for the most part. There was
Right.
a few little clarifications, but it wasn't very significant. And that's why we made the update.
Yeah,
okay.
good. All right, what I will do, more for me than you, is try to summarize what we just decided to do and send it out to you. And please, if you feel there's a need to change anything, let me know. Okay?
Sure.
Anything else? Anybody want to add anything? Then I'll take a motion to conclude the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second. Motion
made second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Have fun. Tonight, the sun just came out. Oh, you have to work. Okay. Recall. All right. Thanks, everybody. Really, good meeting. We got things done. Good.
See you next
Thank you.
time.